Good evening, everybody. My name is Jesse Nelson. Thank you for attending this presentation. Have you ever had a coach in high school who always seemed to be able to wring a little bit more out of you than you ever thought was possible? No matter how tired you were, or no matter how bad your day was, he or she was always able to drag that extra little bit of effort out of you in training. If so, then your coach is probably a master in the art of communication. The research I have done is in the realm of athletics. However, anybody in a supervisory role will benefit from this information. Specifically, the purpose of this presentation is to inform you on how good communication skills are necessary to provide motivation and proper instruction in strength and conditioning for coaching high school athletics. In the next few minutes, I'm going to cover how communication plays a role in instilling drive to high school athletes, the importance of the coach-athlete relationship, common pitfalls that can derail any kind of trust between a coach and an athlete, and research-backed strategies to improve communication, which will work to instill proper motivation for performance. First off, in order to discuss how motivation is dependent on good communication, we have to define what communication is. According to Damon Burton and Thomas Redick, authors of the book Sports Psychology for Coaches, communication is the act of expressing or transmitting ideas, information, knowledge, thoughts, and feelings, as well as understanding what is expressed by others. There are multiple types of communication. It's verbal and nonverbal. Verbal is spoken word. Some examples of nonverbal are gestures, facial expressions, postures, and things of that nature. This is important because in order to achieve physical results that a coach is striving to get from their athletes, he or she needs to be able to effectively transmit their goals, intentions, standards, and expertise through good communication. Matthew Bartholomew is a strength and conditioning professional who has trained special forces operatives, Olympians, and professional athletes across many realms. He has written multiple books on the subject of communication and its role in instilling motivation for athletes. He has a quote, and it follows: "Lighting the internal spark within an athlete is every bit as important as targeting loads for strength and hypertrophy." What he is saying is that the motivation is just as important as the workout itself. Effective performance training can only come from willing participation from the athletes themselves. If they are not sold on their coach, they will not put in the effort for him or her. Michelle West is a master kinesiology student who wrote a research project titled Coach-Athlete Communication, Coaching Style, Leadership, Characteristics, and Psychological Outcomes. In it, she wrote, "Communication will also increase the satisfaction of their training and performance, physical self-concept, achievement goals, intrinsic motivation, and sustained passion for their sport. Clear and precise communication increases better understanding of the role of the player, developing skills, and building a trusting relationship." So now we are going to cover communication pitfalls that can derail any kind of trust between the coach and the athlete. One of these pitfalls is aggressive communication from the coach. According to the textbook titled Communicate, written by Kathleen and Rudolf Werderberger, people often feel devastated by an encounter with an aggressive person. Examples of aggressive verbal communication are using harsh or condescending tones, directing blame onto the athletes, or speaking threateningly. A nonverbal example includes negative gestures, postures, facial expressions, or physical actions such as shoving or intruding on personal space. In one of his books titled Conscious Coaching, Matthew Bartholomew describes the importance of communication in this way: "Trust combined with strong communication skills is an alchemy for excellence. It's a mixture that allows you to gain a sense for what makes an athlete tick, so that you can design an evidence-based program and communicate it in a way that makes sense to or strikes a chord within the athlete." So, Now that we have covered pitfalls, we are going to cover strategies to improve communication, which will lead to better motivated athletes and increased performance in training. One of the strategies is to ask open-ended questions. In front of you, I have placed a visual which help you to understand better what I'm presenting on. There needs to be two-way communication between a coach and an athlete. You need to learn to be able to speak the language of whoever is being trained, specifically for high school athletes. High school athletes do not look at the world through the same lens as a senior many years older than them. And so a coach needs to be able to get on their level and be able to see things through their eyes in order to be able to coach them effectively. Another technique is to use a non-scripted approach. Cookie cutter style of training and in trying to instill motivation will not work. When you're coaching humans, specifically high schoolers, you need to be able to roll with the punches and be ready to go with anything that comes your way. Two professionals in the realm of sports psychology for youth athletics performance are Dr. Frank Smol and Dr. Ronald Smith. Between the two of them, they have observed more than 70 coaches and they have surveyed over 1,000 high school athletes to determine the best communication strategies for instilling motivation for better performance. What they found was positive reinforcement after a good performance and encouragement and technical instruction after poor performance yielded better results than failure to acknowledge positive performance and harsh criticism after poor performance. So the takeaway there is encouragement and proper motivation is much better than harsh criticism from a coach. To wrap things up, I have covered the importance of communication and instilling motivation for high school performance training. I have covered the importance of creating a coach-athlete relationship to instill that two-way communication. I have covered common pitfalls that can occur that will derail that coach-athlete relationship, and I've covered strategies to improve communication, which will instill the proper motivation for high school athletics. This info is specific for high school athletics, but it will benefit anybody who is in a supervisory role in the workplace and at home. Thank you for listening to my presentation.